Today, we're diving into a really profound idea from the philosopher Dallas Willard, what he calls the renovation of the heart. He actually argued it's the single most important project any of us will ever take on. So what on earth did he mean by that, and why does it matter so much? Let's get into it. It really all starts with a promise. I mean, think about this quote from the Gospel of John. It's painting a picture of a life that's free from that constant nagging thirst for more. A life that isn't driven by all those unsatisfied desires. It's just a really powerful vision of deep inner peace. But, that immediately brings up a really tough question, right? If this kind of life is actually on offer, why does our real day-to-day experience so often feel like the complete opposite? Why is there this massive gap between the promise and our reality? Well, this is the exact tension that Dallas Willard really sets out to solve. So Willard noticed something. He saw that while tons of people are inspired by this vision of a divine life, the one you read about in texts like the New Testament, most of them find their way there slowly and with great difficulty, if at all. For a lot of us, it just feels so distant, almost impossible to reach. But here's the thing. Willard says this isn't some unsolvable puzzle. He argues that the issue isn't a faulty promise, and it's not that we're all uniquely broken. He claims the problem isn't the destination at all, but the path we're trying to take to get there. According to Willard, the reason we fail is because we miss the one central requirement, that this promised life is only accessible through a really deep, all-encompassing inner transformation. See, we're all busy trying to fix our actions on the outside without ever dealing with the source on the inside. And that leads us right to Willard's core diagnosis. He argues that the fundamental human problem isn't our circumstances or politics or our social systems. Nope, the problem is the heart. This right here, this is the central phrase of his entire argument. It's so simple, but so profound. We live from our heart. Everything we are and everything we do flows from this deep inner place. Now, when Willard says heart, he's not just talking about our emotions, not at all. He means the absolute command center of our being, our spirit, our will, and our character, all of it, shaped by a whole lifetime of experiences and choices. And the stakes here are absolutely massive. Our entire life is basically just an outcome of what our heart has become. But Willard takes it even further. He argues that even these huge global problems like war and famine are really the collective result of choices flowing from the unrenovated human spirit. Okay, so if the problem is inside us, what's the solution? Well, Willard presents what he calls Jesus' strategy for changing the world, and it's a revolution that works from the inside out. He puts it so plainly here. This revolution doesn't start by trying to create new laws or build new institutions. It starts, first and always, with changing the human heart. And the process he describes is really clear, and it's sequential. Step one is the renovation of our inner world, our character, our beliefs, our feelings. And only then, as a natural result, can our actions and even our social structures be transformed. The bottom line is, you just can't have step two without step one. Willard contrasts this with the way we usually try to do things, which, honestly, T.S. Eliot captured perfectly. We're always trying to design these external systems that are so perfect that the internal goodness of people becomes kind of irrelevant. Willard's point is that this approach is exactly backward. Okay, so at this point you might be thinking, all right, this sounds like just another self-help plan about trying harder to be a better person. But Willard makes a really crucial distinction here. This is not about simple willpower. He lays out two totally different paths. On one side, you've got what he calls merely human spirituality. This is where we rely on our own strength to try and become a positive person. But on the other side, Christian spiritual formation is understood as a process that's driven by a power beyond ourselves. The goal isn't just positivity, it's becoming like Christ. And it's seen as a gift of grace, not some human achievement. To put it even more dramatically, Willard actually describes this whole process as an invasion. It's not about trying to dredge something good up from inside ourselves. It's about a supernatural life from above invading and completely transforming our natural reality. So what's the result of all this inside-out, grace-fueled process? Well, surprisingly, Willard says the result isn't more striving and feeling exhausted by religion. It's actually a way of grace and rest. Think about it like this. The normal approach is we hear we should be patient and kind, right? So we grit our teeth and we try to act patiently and kindly. And let's be honest, we usually fail pretty quickly. Because deep down, our heart isn't patient or kind.
Willard's approach just flips this completely on its head. The focus isn't on acting patient, but on the inner transformation of becoming a patient person. And when you become a patient person on the inside, patient actions just naturally flow on the outside without all that strain and effort.
And this is why he describes it as a path of relief. It's an invitation to leave behind our heavy, burdensome ways of trying so hard and instead to step into a kind of training that leads to what he calls soul rest.
The metaphor that Willard borrows from Jesus is just perfect. You don't get a clean cut by constantly wiping down the outside while the inside is still filthy, right? No, you focus on cleaning the inside, and the outside becomes clean as a natural consequence. And this really leaves us with Willard's central challenge. In a world that is so desperate for change, have we been looking in all the wrong places? What if this deep, difficult work of transforming our own inner world isn't just some private, personal project, but is actually the only lasting path to creating a better outer world for everyone?